go on because we're late in time and
I would need to see my computer here. Obviously, that's... Well, I couldn't agree more with Georg, so I'm going to try to say the same thing with other words. Almost. Trying maybe to talk a little bit more in details about narration in games. Georg said it before. Games usually feature very basic narration, primitive story, and weak characterization. The question is why? Well, I believe it's foremostly because games are about repetitive patterns that drive the experience. Walk, run, jump, drive, shoot, hide. Now, you at home can make this experience. Try to tell a story by just having your character walk, jump, run, drive, shoot, and hide. Because this is what most games today offer. Now, the consequence of that is that the typical game structure is a video with a bit of story, a fast-paced action sequence, following another one, another one, another one, and then again a video just to make sure that the player gets a little bit an idea about the backstory. Well, that's exactly the way a porn movie is structured. And this is basically, I'm narrowing it down, of course, but this is basically how most games are treating narration. Now, there have been in the past a number of experiences to try to include story better in a game. Georg said a lot about the different limitations. There were, I think, limited interactivity, highly stereotyped stories and characters, the interaction of the player with the characters and the environment were mostly based on 2D puzzles, inventories, long dialogues, long and boring dialogues, were very cerebral, and most of the time, those games were not very popular, and therefore they lacked financial means, and so were mostly based on old technology. Now, I think the future can be found in probably more interactive environments, original and innovative games, original in the sense that we're starting to create our own stories, not just try to replicate what's already out there. Innovative in the game mechanics, in the way the players are going to interact with the characters and their environments. And of course using cutting-edge technology, not for the sake of technology, but to be able, in particular, to create better characters. Now, most importantly, I think that we need to find a way to create experiences that are based on choices and consequences. Georg said it before, a video game is not a movie. The player has to be in control. You need to give him choices and therefore create all the environments so that the consequences, the story that he's going to live, is logical and meaningful. And of course, our games need to be based on the emotional involvement of the player. This is what movies are doing greatly. Proposing characters, proposing stories, and getting a strong emotional involvement of the audience from the first to the last minute. Now, inventing a new form of storytelling or story experiencing for games based on choices and consequences is of course very difficult. I'm not going to go into details of that, but you can easily understand that when you give the possibility to a player to interact with everything and to let him drive a story, then you end up with a multitude of possibilities. So you have to find ways and techniques to make this sustainable work, something that is feasible. Now, David Cage, who's the founder of Quantic Dream and the writer and director of our games, came up with the beginning of an answer and said, well, a story basically is like a rubber band. You know, you have a beginning, you have a middle, and an end. And basically, what we have to do is give to players the possibility to stretch this rubber band, make the story longer, or to make it shorter, or give him the possibility to drive through the story in different ways, but always keeping in mind that we have, you know, a strong narration at the core of the experience. This is what we proposed in our game Fahrenheit, which was released last year, and which was rather successful for a story-driven game. And it demonstrated to us that it's feasible today to offer an interactive experience that is based on a very strong narration. Now, in the future, we intend to go far beyond this and through other techniques try to give to the player far more possibilities to interact with the story. And this is something that we're currently producing in our next game, which is called Heavy Rain, which unfortunately I will not be able to show you today, and which will be released in about 2 years' time. But we're trying to put really the story at the core of the experience. Not only start to write our games, but just thinking about the mechanics. We really want to start with the story and try to find ways to make this story as interactive, as interesting as possible for the player. Now, this is the theory, and I would like to very rapidly, this is the most dangerous part of my presentation. I need to switch to Fahrenheit. I would like to show you a very short sequence of Fahrenheit, which is going hopefully to demonstrate to you what we mean by interactive storytelling and how choices of the player have consequences on the story. Now, Fahrenheit is the story of a man who enters one night a diner and for no apparent reason is going to kill a person. He doesn't know this person. He is not a psychopath, and for absolutely no reason you're going to be in the shoes of this character. You're in a state of trance. You wake up and basically you have a body at your feet, and you have to try to start to understand what happened. So basically this is it. I just killed this person. I don't know who he is. I'm in control of my character, and I can interact with almost everything in this environment. Now, a number of possibilities. First of all, well, I can just simply decide to walk out. Again, I'm in control of my character. I'm full of blood. Everyone sees me. Police is coming. Quick. I have to run.
What happened, Kate? Are you injured, sir?
And I'm caught. End of the story. One possibility. Now, that's obviously not the right thing to do if I want to get out of this room. I'll probably have to be a bit more clever. Now, I can try maybe to hide the body. I'm in total control of everything in this set. I can wash myself. Everything in the environment is interactive. And then suddenly, I have a totally different